And welcome everybody to the Huddle here on KGUN9 streaming platforms. It's our weekly sports talk show every Tuesday at this time. I'm Jason Barr, joined as always by Pat Parris. Pat, good afternoon. How are you today?
Doing pretty well, Jason. Excited for this show.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. Arizona softball, Arizona baseball. We're going to talk Dalen Terry. But first, let's bring in our guest for this week. And he is University of Arizona baseball catcher Daniel Susac. Daniel and the baseball team getting ready for the Coral Gables Regional. Daniel is all-conference Pac-12. He's won so many awards and accolades, too many to mention. But Daniel, thanks for taking a couple of minutes here to join us on the Huddle. Where are you joining us from? Are you in Coral Gables right now, or are you still in Tucson?
I am currently still at my house in Tucson right now.
All right, terrific. Well, what was your first reaction when you saw the draw and you're going to be heading to the regional hosted by the University of Miami?
I was excited. It was kind of getting there towards the end. So I think everybody's tensions were high in our clubhouse. But we were really excited to see that we got in. We're excited to get out there. We leave tomorrow to get to Coral Gables. So excited to get out there.
What did the Pac-12 tournament first ever mean for you, and what did it mean for your guys? I mean, it definitely simulates what you're going to be experiencing in the postseason for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think, especially for freshmen, I think it was a good way to, transition into that playoffs last year. So, most of the guys, obviously, from last year's team had that experience on that playoff run. But I think it was good for those freshmen to as well get that, taste of the playoffs in that format of if you lose twice, it's over. So I think it was a good way to, get us ready to see how maybe the pitching stacks out or the hitting and, just see that everybody's going to have to step up.
All right, so you go from the Pac-12 tournament to the Coral Gables Regional, and your first team that you're going to play is going to be Ole Miss, and no stranger. You guys played them in the Super Regional last year, and certainly, one of the top players, Jacob Gonzalez, who you're familiar with. You played. You were a teammate with him on a collegiate national team. What type of challenge does Ole Miss present, especially since they want to kind of get back at you from last year and how you beat them in the Super Regional?
Yeah, they're going to be a really good lineup. I think 8 out of their 9 guys in their lineup are back from last year. So they're going to be a really, experienced and deep lineup. And I think it all starts with Jacob and Tim Elko. I think those are their 2 best hitters in their lineup. We don't want Jacob on for Tim or even, Jacob to do the damage himself. So I think those are the 2 guys that I think can hurt you the most. But their lineup is very deep from top to bottom. Any guy in that order can strike at any time. So it's going to be an interesting series, and I'm ready to go.
And speaking of ready to go, your offense has been dynamite. I mean, it's been impressive at times to really sit back and watch you guys go to work. You've got a lot of, as they say, crooked number innings that you're able to put together. How much fun has this season been, and how much of a learning experience has it been with kind of a fresh start with a new head coach?
This season's been a lot of fun. Transitioning into this year, I'm grateful for both coaching staffs, and I love this one as well. I think Chip has done a great job with our team, uniting the team. I think right now is the closest our team has ever been for this whole year. And that's a great time to, be the closest we've been, pushing for a playoff run. So just got to keep putting at-bats and games together and hopefully make another deep playoff run.
Daniel, I've got an important question. Does Nick McClary look like he's 16, or am I just getting older?
No, he doesn't.
I'm just
yeah, he plays a lot older than he looks. Let's put it that way.
Oh, he's a fantastic fielder. We're talking about the University of Arizona shortstop, Nick McClary. All right, last summer you played for USA Baseball's collegiate national team. What was that experience like for you? How much did that help you going into this year?
That was huge for me. Maybe in, the Pac-12 or the SEC, the Friday guy might be, 94, 96. But at Team USA, I think every single guy was at least 94, 96. So it gives you a lot of good at-bats against really, really, really quality arms. And then we played the Olympic team as well to get them ready for the Olympics. And that was a really fun experience, playing against professional players I watched growing up. Finally get to play against them. It was a really cool experience, like Todd Frazier, Edwin Jackson, even Shane Baz, prospects coming up. So that was really fun.
How have you handled this season, Daniel, as far as being kind of the guy and under the spotlight, not just for the University of Arizona, but nationally? You've been under the microscope in a lot of ways. How do you handle that pressure?
For me, it's not much of a pressure. I consider it a compliment. I'm just going to go out there the same way and play my game every day. Just continue to work hard for our team and try to win. And I just take it as a compliment that people notice me and notice the ability. And to me, it's just, about being with my teammates and trying to win a championship with them.
Your former coach Jay Johnson compared your swing to that of Mike Piazza, which is a heck of a compliment. Which catcher did you admire growing up while you were playing?
I would say my brother, growing up, obviously with the Giants. But besides him, I'd say I watched JT Realmuto a lot. Another guy that I think, some catchers may be more offensive or defensive. I think he's really great because he's really great at both. I
Were
think
you
you
able
can't
to
really tell which one he's better at.
Yeah, were you able to play with your brother at all? It looks like he's a little bit older than you. He was a first-round draft pick, played for the Giants and a couple of other teams. Did you play with him a lot growing up, or what was that relationship like?
So he's 11 years older than me, so I never actually got the chance to play with him, but I always trained with him.
Yeah, that certainly helps, right? To have a guy who's
Oh, yeah.
that much further ahead than you, and you're wanting to get where he's at. Speaking of that, I mean, you mentioned Chip Hale a little earlier. I want to know what it's like to have a coach come in that not only is a legendary Arizona Wildcat and of course a tremendous college player, but also a big leaguer who got a reputation in the big leagues and then as a big league manager. What does that all mean to, I guess, his resume that you guys see, and how much you pay attention to what he says?
I love it. Obviously, having experience all the way up through the big leagues. Same with assistant coach Brian Anderson. I think that's a really cool look that we get that, maybe not a lot of other schools get. And I like that both of them are also alumni. So they take pride in the program. They want to give back to the program. And that they're Wildcats at heart as well.
Yeah, we mentioned your brother, but you also have a cousin who's on the Arizona baseball team, Anthony Susac, I believe, and didn't have a great year, maybe ERA wise, but also somebody who's coming off an injury. What's it like catching him? And I know you guys have a good chemistry from when you played together in high school.
Yeah, we've always had a great chemistry. I would say we're coming up on probably 250 times I've probably caught him in a game ever since we were 6 or 7. And I think I could know what pitch he was throwing every time without even putting down the signs. We, at times, will yell at each other in Croatian. We know a little bit of it. We'll yell out some signs. Some hitters will ask what I just said, and I'll be like, don't worry about it. But yeah, I think he's going to keep growing into his shoes. He's going to be a really great pitcher for us.
As you approach this postseason now, having been there last year and having had success last year, what do you tell the young guys? How much are they going to lean on you, and how much are you going to be able to impart wisdom to get this team back to Omaha?
I would say the biggest advice I'd give for the younger guys on the team would be, if you're going to play for anything, play it for the seniors. Some of them, it could be their last game. So do it for them. You want to make that deep run for them, go out on a good note, and just leave it all out on the field. Don't go home with any regrets of, maybe I could have gone harder, tried harder, done this, done that. Just leave it all on the field.
Ole Miss is certainly your first opponent, but you've got to get through Miami if you're going to get through that regional. You take a look at their roster, and they've got a good third baseman in Yohandy Morales. But looking at some of the notes here, they have 13 victories against top 25 teams, but they've lost 6 out of their last 8 games. What type of challenge do the Hurricanes present? And do you think they could be vulnerable, a team that's lost 6 of its last 8 going into the postseason like this?
I think they're a historic program. I think they're very well traversed for the postseason. They're going to know what to do, and especially on their home field, they're going to have their fans. So I think we're still coming in with the underdog mentality. We're going to have to come there. We're going to have to get through Ole Miss first. That's our first game we're worried about. Then the rest will take care of itself. But there's a lot of good teams in this tournament. I think we got 4 really good teams in our part of it as well.
You mentioned Miami being a legendary program. So is the University of Arizona. 41 times making the NCAA tournament, and that's only a handful of schools have ever done that. How much do you play for? You talked about playing for the seniors, the young underclassmen. How much do you play for that Arizona logo across your chest and on your hat?
Yeah, it means a lot to me. I came in here as a freshman. I felt like Tucson kind of took me in as one of their own, and that meant a lot to me. The fans reach out to you after the game. They know you by name. And that means a lot to me, that not only are they fans of you as a player, but they're fans of you as a person. And I think that's what I try to represent at the University of Arizona.
Yeah, we're talking with Daniel Susac. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Parris. We're here on the Huddle, KGUN 9's weekly sports streaming platform, or our show, and we're talking with Daniel Susac. And Daniel, you caught Chase Silseth last year, and of all the players who were drafted last year, he was the first to make the majors. And in his first start with the Angels, went 6 scoreless innings, I think allowed just 1 hit. It was a terrific performance. He's made a couple of starts since then. What do you make of how fast he was able to make the major leagues and his early success so far?
I'm not surprised. If you saw Chase in person, you knew he had really good stuff. And he's doing really well. He's commanding it. I think he's throwing his changeup a lot, which I thought was his best pitch. And he's a hardworking guy, so you knew he was going to get there eventually. And I'm not surprised how fast he got there.
Daniel, I whenever I talk to catchers, I always like to see their and hear their preparations, because you have I think bar none the hardest job on the team. You've got to both get ready to catch your pitchers, to worry about the other lineup and what they do, and then you got to be able to swing the bat yourself. Tell me about your preparation now as you head into a weekend where you need to know 3 different teams.
Yeah, so that's, I think, the biggest part of being a catcher. I'll go over the scouting reports on some teams, and I've been fortunate enough to play with a lot of players across the country. So I'll know some on each of the teams. Like, I'll remember most of Ole Miss's hitters from last year. I know a couple on Miami. And I think that's the biggest part of a catcher, is knowing what they're really good at and then what, maybe their weakness is. And coming into a game, especially for hitting, you have to look at the pitchers. For me, I try to look at their velocity of their pitches and then what pitch they tend to throw the most when they want to get you out. What's their pitch that they love the most?
We're talking with Daniel Susac, taking a look at the list of awards and accolades that you've won or been named for in your first year plus here at Arizona. It is a long list. Which one means a little bit more to you than the others?
Pac-12 champion. That one meant the most to me last year. That was our goal coming in. It came down to 1 game. I think we won by 1 over Oregon at Oregon State. So I think that one meant the most to me, was, getting that championship my first year.
What's the mindset as you guys head into this weekend? It's certainly it's moving, win in advance. You're not thinking about avoiding 2 losses. You're thinking about winning. But what is that mindset, and maybe what's the confidence level of this team right now?
I think the confidence level is great. I think, even though we lost a couple games in the Pac-12 tournament, we know we can compete with any team in the country. And I think that's the mindset of the team, is compete. Just leave it all out on the field. If we know we left it all on the field, win or lose, we know we did all we could.
All right, last one for me. Do you know your summer plans yet? You played for the collegiate national baseball team last year. Is that something you have, ready for this summer, or do you make your plans kind of after the season's over?
Yeah, I'm not too sure yet. I think I'm going to, figure that out after the season. But as of now, just train and keep getting ready.
Well, Daniel, we got a couple of people talking about winning mindset, sending little comments here. We had one that said "Go Cats," and I think we're all rooting you guys on really hard. We hope that you can, keep making that journey and get back to Omaha this year. And you might surprise a few people. You're not going to surprise us if you make it back to Omaha. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Thanks for a couple of minutes here on the Huddle with me and Pat. Good luck this week. We'll be rooting for you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right, that was Daniel Susac, University of Arizona baseball catcher, as the Wildcats go to Coral Gables for that regional. They'll play Ole Miss in the first round. And I believe Canisius is the other team.
Yeah, Canisius is the other team, the Golden Griffins. Yeah.
Yep.
With Ole Miss, yeah. And
so we've got University of Arizona baseball. Of course, let's talk about the ladies. They're in the Women's
Sure.
College World Series. Caitlin Lowe's does it in her first year. First coach to ever make the Women's College World Series in her first year. And, if you hadn't seen the first part of this year, you would have been like, oh, well, big deal. They started in 08 in the Pac-12. So anything can happen. Look, I think, Pat, they got a little lucky with their draw, who they played in the regional, who they played in the super regional. That's okay. You can only beat, who you have to beat. And a terrific job by those players and for Caitlin Lowe to push the right buttons with the pitching staff. She certainly has done that. So we're looking forward to seeing them play starting on Thursday in the Women's College World Series.
Exactly.
Oklahoma State is they play first.
Yeah, they play Oklahoma State. Not going to be an easy game, not an easy draw in this case. But when you get to the World Series for the women in Oklahoma City, there's never going to be an easy game. But I think as I thought more about how they watched them win in that super regional and the way they did it. And it got me thinking that, we're so often, Jason, caught up in the, what are you doing right now? Oh, you're losing. It's not going to be a good year for Arizona. Just move on. But remember, this is a long game for them. The long game for them is getting in a position to get a bid to get to the postseason, and they took their lumps, and she developed this team, and she had to do a lot of things right and do things well, and she got this team playing their best softball right towards the end of the season and into the postseason. And so I think maybe that's the benefit of having a Caitlin Lowe who knows, has been around a few years coaching, and then of course she was a terrific player as well. But some of that Mike Candrea stuff rubbed off on her, as far as knowing that you're not going to win anything in that first few weeks. You're not going to win anything in the first 8 games of the Pac-12 regular season. So they positioned themselves well towards the end of the year, and that's all they needed to do.
So that's Arizona baseball and softball, and the basketball team with a little bit of news here because it's decision time for Dalen Terry. He has until tomorrow to decide whether or not he's going to withdraw his name from the NBA draft and return to Arizona, or keep going. I believe what he said is if he's going to think he's going to be a first-round draft pick, he's going to stay, and he's going to go in, or he's going to leave and go NBA. And if he's not going to be a first-round draft pick, he's going to come back. He actually worked out for the Indiana Pacers today. And the Pacers put up a soundbite little interview they did with him on social media, on Twitter, and I believe we have a little bit of that. Let's hear from Dalen Terry today on what he told the Indiana Pacers.
It's been great. Obviously, it's been a lot of ups, and I'm definitely landing into a decision. So it's just great to go through this process. I'm blessed to be here. It was the best basketball year of my life, honestly. And it was great just to be with those guys, me being a Christian, and especially the other guys. Like, we got memories I'm always remember forever, no matter what I do. And if I go back to school, we're going to make some more memories. And if I don't, I have some good memories this last year.
Yeah, he's got a tough decision, Pat. And, you hope he comes back if you're an Arizona basketball fan, right? Certainly it would be more minutes for Pelle Larsson and Udama Ball, if he doesn't. But having lost Mathurin and having lost Christian Koloko, especially Mathurin, who's also a wing player, you really want to see him come back and be that much better, after his 3rd season. But it's tough. If you're going to be a first-round draft pick, you're going to go. So I'm sure that decision's weighing heavy on him right now. And my gut feeling is he goes to the NBA, but I hope I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way, Jason, as far as I really want him to come back. I think in the long run for him as a professional basketball player, it would benefit him to come back one more year. But, he's got a tough decision, because if you look at all these different mock drafts and all these NBA experts with their mock drafts, you've got a couple of them that have him going late in the first round. I think ESPN's mock draft with Jonathan Giovanni has him 27th in the Miami Heat. I see USA Today has him 28th. So remember, 30 teams. So he would be right at the end of that first round. Then you have several other drafts, 3 or 4 other drafts that have him going early in the second round. So that's a tough call, Jason. There's no guarantee you're going to go in the first round. There's a pretty good chance he's going to get drafted. Don't get me wrong. But do you wait and come back and try to be a lottery pick, one of those top 14 picks, like Ben Mathurin's supposed to go as high as 8th in the NBA draft? So he's a lottery pick. You make a lot more money, Jason, as a lottery pick than you do as a guy who's at the end of the first round or beginning of the second round.
Yeah, but sometimes you come back and you stay for that extra, you have that extra year. And when you go to the NBA, you're more ready and you have more minutes. And
right.
I'll just, you can make a case either way. I'll just make a couple of examples to bolster my case here. A decade ago, Solomon Hill comes back as a senior, as a first-round pick. He's been a little bit of a journeyman in the NBA, but has had a solid 10-year career. And then you look at Josh Green, who played 1 year for Arizona, was a late first-round pick, and he just sits on the bench,
Right.
So I'd love to see him come back for another year. It's only a decision he can make, and I'm sure he's weighing that. And hopefully for him, it'll work out either way. But hopefully for the Wildcat fans, he comes back. So, speaking of basketball, a lot of people wanted David Stoudemire to be interviewed or heavily considered for the Wildcat coaching job, which of course went to Tommy Lloyd. But here we are in June, and we're talking David Stoudemire again because he's the assistant coach in the Celtics. So we've got Steve Kerr, of course, Wildcat great. He's coaching the Warriors, and Damon Stoudemire is going to be on the bench on the other end with the Celtics. And Sure enough, also coming full circle is Andre Iguodala, who was part of the Warriors
Right.
team. Those first 5 finals appearances, leaves, and now he's back and, a big part of the team. So we'll have that game 1, I believe, Thursday night against the Celtics.
It is Thursday,
That's
yeah.
on air or ABC. So you want to make a pick, Celtics Warriors?
I really still think I said the last couple of times we've had this discussion. I thought the Warriors were by far the best team. Now that's not to say the Celtics can't make a series of it, but I still think the Warriors are going to win in 6. That'd be my prediction that the Warriors will find a way to win 1 on the road, and the Celtics will get a couple of wins at some point as well, whether it be home, maybe 1 on the road. But I think the Warriors are the better team. At this moment, nobody's playing better than Steph Curry and Steve Kerr's Golden State Warriors.
All right, I'll go with the Celtics in 6.
All right.
I'll go with a little bit of upset
6
there. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. The favorite, if you're betting, the favorite to win the MVP is certainly Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
And, I heard something interesting about Steph Curry today. They were comparing him to some other stars of the past who the mindset of these other stars was, okay, get out of my way. I'm going to take over and win this game. Whereas he involves players and says, listen, I need a little bit of help. I'm going to involve you. And, he involves other players more so than some of the other, stars in the past, say a Kobe or somebody like that. Kind of interesting. I don't know if you agree with that. I heard that this morning on another show, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, I think the MO of the Warriors during his time there and them winning the championships under Steve Kerr, and who better distributed the ball than Steve Kerr. I think that's kind of a mindset with the team. And maybe that's just become, is it the chicken or the egg? Are they that way because Steph Curry's that way? Or are they that way because Steve Kerr has a team that's that way? Maybe it's a little of both, but I would agree that for arguably the greatest pure shooter we've seen, for him to as you say involve other teammates as generously as he can, and I think that there's a mindset there, whether it's his mindset from the beginning or it's the mindset of the team. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, he's getting the help here with Klay Thompson and Wiggins and Draymond Green and Iguodala, and
they're a great team right now, Jason.
They really are. So yeah, I'm just taking the other side with the Celtics. I actually don't have a strong opinion of who I think is definitely going to win the series. I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely being billed as the Warriors' offense against the Celtics' defense. Right. Jason Tatum is just
he's
one fantastic
good
player.
Yes.
He really is. He's going to be tough to stop. But we thought Luka Doncic would be tough to stop, and
he ran out of gas. He ran out of gas, and he ran into the Warriors. Yeah,
that's exactly it. Exactly it.
Yep.
All right. So here we are. It's coming up on the 1st of June, and we've still got a lot to talk about. So
we do. And that's
the summer lull.
And this is something maybe we didn't expect. Sure, we probably expected the men's the baseball team to potentially make it, in the first for the first week of the NCAA tournament, but to have the women there as well. And I think it's a great time for Arizona athletics, and I think we can't take anything for granted, Jason. It's it's really tough.
We didn't ask Daniel Susac about this because what's he going to say, right? But they have to get beat Ole Miss and then beat Miami and get through the regional. But if they do, and LSU gets through their regional, which is at Hattiesburg, Southern Miss, it would be the 6-11, except it would be 2 unseeded teams. They would actually go up against LSU and Jay Johnson. But what's he going to say? He's going to say, we're getting through our regional first. We're not thinking about that. But that's something to take a look at. Slim chance that would happen, because not only would Arizona have to win, but LSU would have to upset Southern Miss, and both teams would have to get through their regional. But something fun to think about.
It could happen.
Right.
It could happen.
Right. Much stranger things have happened.
That's it.
All right. Well, this has been this edition of The Huddle. Every Tuesday at this time here on KGUN 9 streaming platforms as we talk sports, University of Arizona, Tucson sports, and a whole lot more. Pat, thanks so much. And
thanks, Jason.
We'll see you next week at this time, everybody. For Pat, I'm Jason. See you next Tuesday.